is empty. It reminds me of being in school and when all the bad students would go to the back. So we know what kind of crowd we have here tonight.
Do I need to move farther back?
Yes. Well, welcome to the Kane Community Meeting. Kane is, has a free membership. Everybody's welcome. You're all welcome here tonight. We have a busy schedule tonight. We have an election, and then we have the chief here, who's going to give us the picture of what's going on. Since the last meeting, he's been on a little holiday spree. We only did a couple things. Well, we're working on the comprehensive plan, which the city is keeping secret for some reason. We're not sure why. And the drafts are out there, but they're not opening up to the public. Well, we will try to keep you as informed as we can, and we might need your help letting the city know that they kind of veered off because they got some interesting concepts for what we've seen so far.
It's a little bit hard to hear you back here. What plan were you talking about?
The comprehensive plan, okay, that the city did this summer. The other thing we're working on, we're following the county very closely. They started their budget process last night. Sharon was there representing CAN. What we're worried about with the county is they get 64% of the money through grants from the state or federal government. They seem to be in flux as to what may be happening. If that happens and they have to raise county taxes is one thing, but they're also looking at the tax differential between the city and the county. And we want to keep a close eye on that and keep you all informed if you want to get involved and raise your voices on that issue. So we're trying to keep you up to date on those things. I'm also excited that we're looking forward to having 4 new board members, and we're looking at what ideas they might have, what they want to focus on to bring us more involved in the community. With that, I'll turn this over to Judge Vickers in the back, who's going to do the board elections, and we're going from there.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Judd Vickers, and just to explain a little bit, I know the ballot's a little confusing. We've had quite a few vacancies over the last year. Everybody agree? So the current board, as it's comprised, is Chuck McFadden as president, Roman Jessian as vice president, Allison Kennedy as secretary, Mary Ellen Jessian as treasurer, myself as an at-large member, Sharon Smith as an at-large member, and Andre Durinx as an at-large member as well. The way our bylaws work, we can have up to 8 at-large members and 4 on the executive committee. So the good news is that everyone you voted for will win tonight. There were enough vacancies, but we do actually have to have an election, which we want to have. So we're going to have a total of 11 members on the board after tonight. A couple of new folks that have stepped forward tonight are Amy Craig, Chuck Fadley, Sheila Jones, and LaShawn Foster. So we're really excited to bring these board members on, and we'll issue an official vote count and number of ballots that were submitted once we count them. We'll send it out by email. So congratulations on the new folks for joining us. And one other bit of business we do, Chuck has to vote to open the 1 vacant seat tonight.
We're good.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion that we fill 1 additional at-large seat. This is a procedural motion we have to do to create the vacancy.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So
All right.
carried. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
All right, so that leads me to introduce who needs no real introduction, our police chief, but I would like to say, Chief Todd has really changed the attitude of the police department. His ideas on community policing have really changed the whole attitude of the police department. And I'm really proud of what he's done. And I'll let him talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm going to stand up. I might sit down, but I get kind of antsy sitting down, so I like to stand up and move around a little bit. Just a little bit of introduction about me. I have been, I'm Chief Justin Todd. I've been chief going on 3.5 years now. I've spent going on my 26th year here at the Cambridge Police Department. I grew up in Dorchester County, in the lower part of Dorchester County. Went to high school here, and now live in the northern part of the county and police right here in the city of Cambridge. So I've come to enjoy my time here. Seen a lot of good things, a lot of changes, a lot of challenges along the way. So tonight I'm just going to give some information first about what over the course of the last year and what we've seen, what we're doing, and also some crime statistics, stats to see what we can do better in, where we're doing well in, which includes some juvenile crime and that type of thing. And then I want to talk about things that we're looking forward to in the next upcoming budget year, some asks that I will have, and also some accomplishments that and goals that we want to set for the department ourselves. First, I brought a couple of officers with me tonight at the beginning. The reason why I did that, one of our accomplishments in the last year was that we were able to begin our very own cadet program. Thanks to the city for supporting that idea. And we were able to hire Cadet Kozak. Kozak, you come on up here. And Sergeant Jones, you can come on up with him. Yeah, please give him a round of applause. Sergeant Dave Jones is Cadet Kozak's supervisor, and he is going on 25 years of service. 25 years of service. We've worked together for a long time. This is a program, and why I'm showing him off, it's not to embarrass him. In fact, I told him he had to speak tonight, but it's just I want him to see through these next couple of years, he's local to Cambridge. He knows the city. He's invested himself in the city. He's been an intern with us for the last couple of years. I want him to see everything that a law enforcement officer sees on a daily basis. Everything from the rookie cop coming out of the police academy to the chief of police assignments, such as this tonight, and about community and transparency and getting that word out there. And I also wanted to mention Sergeant Jones. You know, you couldn't ask for someone better to learn from. He's been around this city. He was an officer up in Pennsylvania before he even came here, and he's invested 25 years in our city, and I'm very thankful to have him on our staff. So they're going to sit around tonight, and if you have questions for them afterwards, I'm sure they'll be glad to answer them. Cadet Kozak, he has a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that he's done as an intern. When he walked in as a cadet, he was really able to pick up on. And we were able to get him involved in a lot of things. And he's certainly become our parking ticket king here recently. So it's made several people happy. But yeah, glad to have him. So I just wanted to introduce him to the King community tonight. So, thank you. First thing to talk about some accomplishments over the last year. It's always good to start with the good stuff, right? So surveillance cameras throughout the city. I'm big on them. I believe we need as many as we can get. I believe we live in a city where it's a lot easier to be able to have surveillance. We don't have tall buildings. We don't have places where, it's easy to lose sight of things. I believe that, a lot of cities are going to these real-time crime centers and things like that. I would love down the road, it might be a couple years down the road, but I'd love to see us there at a point where we have a real-time crime center, where we have people monitoring what's going on throughout our city. I've been to several places that have that. Seaford PD has just started a program. They're part-time. now, but they have something like that that's getting up and running. And I think it's important that we look ahead at things we can do as a city instead of staying complacent. It's easy to get complacent, and we don't want to do that. Our drone program, that was a hot topic last year. I was thankful, that we were able to get the funding to do that. Looking forward now, we are 30. We've done 36 missions, both inside and outside inside buildings and also outside perimeters. We've been very successful on our missions. To give a couple examples of those, would be everybody knows we have a dirt bike issue in this city, quads, things running, just being reckless within our city. We were able to apprehend 5 subjects. Neither one of them were from the city of Cambridge. They had a U-Haul truck down at Christ Rock to haul their dirt bikes in. So at the very end of the day, it's our hope that, one, we arrested all, they were all charged, and hopefully it's a message for them not to come back to our city and do it. Another incident we had a few weeks back with our interior drone, we had a subject that had barricaded himself in an apartment. He was wanted on a fugitive warrant, wouldn't come out. We had to clear the apartment complex area. We had the SWAT team there. However, instead of causing more harm or the safety of the citizens in the neighborhood, as well as the officers involved, we were able to have a pilot on scene. He deployed the drone, actually she deployed the drone into the apartment, located the subject in the bedroom, gave commands through the drone, and we were able to back him out of the apartment without any incident. That's success. If we only had those 2 throughout the whole year, to me, that's success. That's nobody getting injured, everybody going home safe at the end of the day. Hats off to our pilots. They go through a lot of training monthly. They have to keep up on it. And we're going to make this program, my goal is to make it the best it can possibly be. I want it the best on the shore. I don't want them drones to sit in vehicles and not be used. I think we can do a lot with them here. ShotSpotter, of course, we've had that since the end of 2022. That's our ShotSpotter alerts continuously have gone down since 2023. I believe when we look back, we're going to see a significant increase. I don't have the exact percentage, but I'm pretty confident you're going to see a 60 to 70% decrease in our shots fired calls from 2023 through 2025. So I think that's a big credit. And I think our ShotSpotter system and our surveillance cameras go together. I don't think ShotSpotter would be no more, it wouldn't be as consistent if we did not have our surveillance systems in place and our cameras in place throughout the city. I think they really make a difference working together. For example, we have a shots fired call. We have an incident. We're able to backtrack through the cameras of the time that ShotSpotter alert went off. We're able to track suspects, and that's helped us on numerous occasions and led us to convictions in court. So we're thankful to have that as well. A couple other things we worked on this year was our take-home program for the city. We're working hard on that throughout the year. Thankfully, through the council, through the city manager, we knew that was a big recruitment tool for us. And if we can get that off the ground, it'll be a great thing to have. And thankfully, we're there. We're working hard, a lot of work to get it done, but we were able to accomplish that as well. Pay raises. The city, to be able to recruit and retain people, we have to be able to keep up with the allied agencies nearby. You know, we're having lots of trouble losing officers or not getting applicants, more or less now, due to pay increases in other places. I'm very thankful for the city commissioners, the city manager, everyone that worked and were able to accomplish us getting pay raises. And some of them were significant amounts that officers who I felt deserved long ago. It was done, and I'm very thankful for that. And it certainly helps the morale of the department when everybody is happy with their paychecks at the end of the day. Our continuing working with the youth, the flag football program that we work with so many organizations on, All for Love. The PAL program, basketball program, which I have officers there right now, that's just started up. That's got to continue to reach our youth. We talk, that's going to lead me into the conversation to talk about our kids. You hear a lot of negative things about juveniles committing crimes. We're having issues with so many juveniles and running amok in our city. There are probably 15 to 20 juveniles that we have our hands full with every day. They do cause a ruckus in our city. Right now we're having vehicle break-ins in our city. That's where our issues come from. For the large majority, our kids in our schools, they are trying to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. And I think that's important for the community to know. It's easy to see, a press release with a juvenile arrested for this or that and just think, the juvenile population's out of control. It's not. Those couple handfuls of kids that we're having, they need guidance. And until we have some things in place that can better do that, I think we're going to continue to run this battle. Our school resource officer, Officer Joe Jones, he was made Officer of the Year in 2025. The amount of work that he's done in Macy's Lane and the commitment he's made to the children out there. Last year, our numbers out there compared to this year are down. We're not having the issues that we had in Macy's Lane a year ago. Is it still good? Is it great? No, it's not. It's not great. I can't speak for the high school. I know that they've had some issues, especially in the past couple of days. But any momentum we can get, we need to continue reaching, especially those age groups, even elementary school. Our teen court program that we implemented last year, that was another way to try to reach our youth. For kids that may be heading down the wrong path, maybe they've been in school or a fight on the bus or something that's minor, that they do not have a criminal record or criminal history. The Cambridge Police Department came up with a teen court. It has nothing to do with our court system, our judges or magistrate, but we bring them into council chambers, and we actually have a trial amongst their peers, where their peers decide what their punishment should be, if they're guilty. And listening to some of those, they're harder on the kids than any courtroom would be. They're harder on their own self. I mean, it's amazing to watch, but the kids actually enjoy it and have fun with it. And it's over the summer, we were asked by several of the kids, "Are you bringing that back? Are you going to do that again?" So it just shows you, having that interaction and building that trust with our children is a big plus for us. Also, over the last, I guess the end of last year, the city, which is going to be, I'm very much a fan of, has hired a PIO, Public Information Officer, and thanks to Glenn, who just came in the back there, to be able to okay that and get that done for the city, but also for the police department. Working with Kaliba, she has been great. And a lot of the press releases you see now, you'll see that comes from her. If you're on Facebook, you probably noticed in the last couple of months where our press releases have been down. Every once in a while I'll see a comment that we're not sharing stuff. It's not that. It's simply because over the last couple of months, we've had officers injured. We have officers out for family medical leave, and it's left us short. And we had to pull our lieutenant from his regular duties. He usually does the write-ups. We had to put him in a patrol mode for a little bit. So that's the reason for that. But you'll start to see those press releases come back out. So I just wanted to make sure I touched on that. It's not a thing where we're just not doing it. It's just a part of having the manpower to do it and switching around some priorities. So having our citywide PIO is going to be great for the department. Looking ahead in the upcoming year, we received 2 different grants towards the end of last year. One's a mental health grant and wellness grant. The Maryland Police Training Commission is constantly overhauling the mental health of first responders, police officers, correction officers, and they're really forcing the hands of many agencies to come up with a wellness program for their officers, which I could be no more happier about. We need it. For many, many years, that did not happen. I know when myself and Sergeant Jones started 25 years ago, you had a major incident, you're brushing it off and going back out on the street 2 hours later. With this grant, we're working with the health department. We have a MOU that will hopefully be signed this upcoming council meeting, where we'll have an embedded clinician working about 8 hours a week, making sure our officers are where they need to be mentally. When they have a major incident, that they're there, they're checking on the officer and also the officer's family, all while coming up with trainings and other things that will assist us along the way. So we're looking forward to how that's going to pan out over the year, and eventually I would like to see that turn into more hours as we go along. The other grant was a technology and communication grant, strengthening technology through partnerships and education. That's going to allow us more cameras throughout the city. I believe I talked to our IT person, and 4 cameras are going up possibly as early as Thursday, which I'm excited about. So we're going to have cameras throughout the high crime areas of the city. We're going to have them through the main thoroughfares of the city. And that again, as I talked about earlier, that's going to assist us with getting where we need to be on that. Also in that grant's license plate readers. License plate readers are definitely a help to us, especially if we're having a shooting in one area of town and we get a tag number or we get a description of a car. We can start looking at all those cameras. You know, if we have one on Cedar Street or Maryland Avenue or Washington Street, we can start looking at them areas that are trying to get out of town. So they will be good to have. And we're also in that grant overtime for officers in high crime areas to patrol. And it's also overtime for community policing functions that we're able to do. So there are 2 grants moving forward that we'll spend a lot of time on and look forward to doing. Another thing I want to focus on a little bit this upcoming year, it's kind of bothered me in years past, is we have a police advisory board. That's not to be confused with the police accountability board or administrative charging committee. But once every quarter, we meet, and one thing I'd like to do this year is I'd like to get the members of that committee more involved and known to the communities in which they serve. I feel like if we're going to have the meetings, we need to work together to see what we can do positively in our city and our communities. So I look forward to doing just that. And I think our first meeting is January 21st, I believe. And the public is welcome to the meeting. It's usually always at the Cambridge Police Department in our conference room.
I'm sorry, Chief, did you say police advisory board?
Police Advisory Board, yes. Another big thing is that we're doing. We actually was put in the budget in July, and we have signed up and become registered with the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, better known as CALEA. It's a national accreditation. And what that does, many agencies throughout Maryland, you're starting to see more and more, you become nationally certified and accredited, meaning that, the process usually takes around 3 years. to complete. We're looking to, hopefully, the goal right now is that this time next year, we'll be going up for, or by the spring of next year, hopefully going up for accreditation. They come, we have to do a self-assessment. They take all of our policies, all our procedures, and they go through them with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that we're following all directives, our performance, our responsibilities, our reports, everything is to a national standard, from our evidence to our reports, to how we keep our equipment, everything. Officers' knowledge, they'll actually come and do on-site assessments. Every 4 years, it comes back up for accreditation. And I think it's good. Honestly, I tell people this all the time. I was skeptical at first about it. You hear negative things and you hear a lot of positive things. After going to some of the conferences, talking to agencies like Salisbury, Seaford, I realized how beneficial it can be to the city and also to the police department. It shows that we're really trying to be transparent and we're trying to do the right things at all times. And if we aren't doing the right things at all times, we get called on it by the accreditation. So I'm thankful to be a part of that, and I look forward to that outcome and to the day that we're able to accomplish all the hard work of getting it done. Also, we're looking, one of our major issues throughout the year were our mental health calls of service. I think I said it in a report to the public. I know our mental health calls of service is up over 60% for the year. And some of those are, I can't remember the exact number, but our aggressiveness that we've had to deal with, where we have to use of force or we're assaulted because of it, has gone up, which is an extreme concern. Our statistics show we've had 1,100 and some more calls of service this year compared to last year. Now, that sounds like a lot. However, our community policing and our patrol checks are all mixed into that. So some of that is that. But you can't ignore the fact that we're going on more calls involving mental health patients and patients that need assistance, and it's just not happening. Everybody in the room knows we had an unfortunate circumstance back in September. It was a mental health call, and unfortunately, one of our officers had to use deadly force. Awful situation. It changes lives just like that, and we have to do better. I'm not just saying as a community, but as a nation, we have to do better to somehow figure out how to help some of these people and get them the help they need when they're crying for it. And so with saying that, one of my proposals this year is going to be trying to implement or partner with someone for a co-responder system, to have a social worker with us to be able to respond, whether it's part-time at first, whatever it is, but to have that resource available to follow up on things, follow up with people, and at least try. We get calls every day. Every day our officers get calls for homelessness, people that are acting out, that are having an episode, and we can only do so many things. One, of course, if they're a threat to themselves or someone else, we can do an emergency petition. If they commit a crime, we can arrest them. We can make them move along. Other than that, the police is not the answer for the homeless population or the mental health patients. Some of the crimes that they are committing, what good is it to arrest them and have them charged and go through a court process? It's not beneficial. So we have to figure out a way to figure that out. So an embedded social worker is one route that it's a big goal. It's not easy to accomplish, but if departments are accomplishing it, so why can't Cambridge? And now I just wanted to touch on our statistics. Now, our statistics are not final yet. We'll have an end of the year report coming out this second, council meeting, the month of January, we'll have it completed. It'll be in depth. And it'll be a report from everything from crime statistics to what we're doing in the community to, our officers of the month and everything. But we pulled some general data because I knew I was coming here tonight and I wanted to be able to provide just a little bit. I mentioned that we had over 1,100 new calls for service a year. And like I said, a lot of that's community policing, a lot of that's patrol checks. Whenever we call out somewhere, just like a function tonight, Sergeant Jones, Cadet Kozak, they call out community policing, but that way we're able to track that and see what officers are doing. So at any time, we can go in the computer system and we can see what officers are doing, what, when, and where. One thing that we noticed that is up this year in our crime statistics, one is thefts, most of them petty thefts. Either from stores or businesses, and simple assaults. Simple assaults are anything that doesn't require a weapon, that's no danger assault. It could be a simple thing as pushing or shoving. We're seeing that's up almost 100 calls for service, where we've had 100 more calls of service for simple assaults. A lot of our, Part 1 crimes, such as rapes, robberies, weapons offenses are down over 45%, which means we're not getting the guns off the street. Doesn't mean we're trying any less. It just means that there's probably a little less guns floating around on our streets. But the problem is there's still guns on the streets. So that's the thing we have to remember. Just because I say something's down doesn't mean that, the gun's not in the wrong hands and can lead to very bad things. Our DUI offenses are up this year quite a bit. A lot more action as far as drunk driving and drug driving goes. Our traffic accidents look to be about the same that they were a year ago, maybe a little lower. Our traffic stops about the same. Our traffic citations are, of course, up. If there's anything I've heard in the last year or so, it's about traffic enforcement in our city. And gosh knows, you can go out on the highway and in my personal vehicle and I see people flying by and just having, it's a problem. It's a problem everywhere. But you got our word that we're doing our very best to police those areas and do traffic enforcement along with our calls of service and getting that done. So like I said, a lot of the juvenile arrests, I wanted to touch on that. Our juvenile arrests are down this year by about 25 or 30. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about with our schools. We're not having the amount of arrest referrals that we had once before. We're doing SENS cases, which is child in need of supervision, when it reaches a level where it may not be assault or something more serious. We think that there's an issue going on at home, or a child's not going to school, or there's something, just a curfew violation. We do a child in need of supervision and send that over to juvenile services for them to follow up on. So that's a lot. I know I kind of spoke kind of fast, but there's a lot. I could go on and talk all night about certain things, but I'd be glad to take any questions. I know Chuck had a question for me first off.
Right. My question is, what is the relationship between Cambridge Police and ICE?
That's a good question. Very seldom I or anybody from the PD hear from ICE. Just don't. Most of my interaction is with Homeland Security, who assist ICE on operations. They are local here, which is somewhat of a benefit. We have a contact. Most of the time, I hear about it when you guys are hearing about it, when you see a picture on social media. I don't get the information. That to me is very concerning. I don't like it. I think it puts everybody in harm's way. I think there's a better way of doing things. Certainly there's reasons for them not to give that information out, and I completely understand that. But as law enforcement wise, we at least have to trust one another so that we know what's going on. So if something does go bad, which it very well can, as we've seen in Minneapolis today, that we're prepared to do what we have to do. And, you know, we don't have any involvement with ICE operations. If there is an issue where we're called or there's a situation where we get a 911 call where they need help or somebody needs help, of course, we're going to go and assist. But as far as we have no jurisdiction over any immigration warrants or anything of the such, we do not deal with that. If we have a subject that we have to arrest or anything like that, we treat it as a normal arrest, whether they're a U.S. citizen or not a U.S. citizen. We don't ask the question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just as a follow-up on that, you do not have the 287 year rule.
That's right, we do not. Yes, sir.
I have a question. So as residents, what can we do to help support your efforts?
First, being here tonight and listening to me talk and gathering the information, but also one thing that we tried to do a couple years back, we had it here in the city years ago, was a neighborhood watch program. We got a couple neighborhoods up, we got it together and got it working, and it kind of fizzles out. But to have the interaction, like I get emails every day, some good, some bad, you know, but I get the emails and I need to hear that information, whether it's good information, bad, what you're seeing. If you have Ring doorbell cameras, if you're willing to supply us with that information to say, hey, well, we know that, you know, 100 whatever street has a Ring doorbell camera. We just had a car theft from there. Let's go grab their Ring doorbell camera. If we have that information, we'll start putting it in our system. And that helps us be able to solve crimes faster. You know, I get emails, you know, from citizens that say, you know, hey, there's a suspicious person on the street. It's happening between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. It'd be great to be able to know who has Ring doorbells that's willing to give them to us. And that would be a definite plus. So little things like that, providing that information. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you so much for having an officer come to Deep Harbor during that family mental health tragedy. She spoke, she came and talked to everybody who witnessed. It was big. Because of that issue, one of the things that came up in our board was that we had a policeman who used to come to meetings for the board. And then I guess, like you say, it stopped. We're seeing a lot more people travel through the neighborhood and not stay on the public path. And it's become a board discussion. And I guess what I wondered is, you know, can there be an opportunity to bring a policeman back to that? Because we are seeing an uptick in people walking through on the private streets because there's no gate, which is another discussion a policeman might help us with.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime we can speak at any event, we'll have an officer. If there's any way possible, we'll have an officer come out and speak. Any
Or
board
even an
meetings.
assigned person that knows our community and the wherewithal of those 2 exits and how it works. It's a cross path, and we're seeing them on motorized bikes now that I didn't see when we first moved in. So that they're feeling really like nobody's paying attention.
Sure. Yeah, but yeah, we can do patrol checks, extra patrol checks and stuff like that in the areas. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Another question, is the cameras, are the cameras monitored constantly or they're just something for afterwards?
They are not. That's what I touched on having a real-time crime center that they would be. But what they are able to do, these cameras that we're getting are great, and they are detect. So for example, if we get a issue tonight, and our detectives have to come in, they immediately can start viewing those cameras. The patrol officers, they have them right on their computers. They can come in if they have the time and able to get off the street in time. They can come in and start reviewing and tracking where the events occurred. But no, not yet. To answer your question, it's not full time.
About the cameras, is this your own system or is this like a flock private?
It's not Flock. The name of the camera system's leaving me. IT people are here. I don't know. Spot AI is the camera system. It's a software-based system in the cloud, and it allows us access to all the cameras. So
But it's a fixed cost contract that
yes, and our IT people would be better at answering that, but I think it is a fixed cost.
How far can you go back?
Some of the cameras, the newer cameras, can go back as high as 20 days. Yes, ma'am.
Recently, there was information about in the PEP program, the parents, and I don't know what the initials stand for, but it's associated with the Education Foundation PEP program.
I
You know
think,
what I'm talking
yeah, I
about?
think I do know what you're talking about. I believe Commissioner Cisco heads that up, if that's the same program you're talking about. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But they're offering now, they're training, having people go through the crisis initiative, which was presented to the city council, and I know they wanted to put it in the school system to help the the teachers and the students and the parents. And so are you working with them through that?
We haven't worked with them specifically. We've in the past, when the program probably last year and a half ago got up and running, we had officers come and speak and be a part of it, usually at the graduation ceremony. But that's certainly, I believe, myself and Glenn, our city manager, talked about that just the other week. But that would be a program that would be perfect for a police department to help be involved in. Yes, ma'am.
No, the community understands health, mental health, because it truly matters, so thank you for your policies. I have them for health people and those training and counseling. It's very much needed.
Thank you.
Question, piggybacking off of Allison's question about that. There used to be a program called DARE in elementary school. Is there any chance of getting that revived?
It taught us all to use drugs. I don't know if it was the best example of a program.
For my children. And John Foster used to run that out and I know they had programs in all the elementary schools here. I think it made a big difference for a lot of kids. But I thought that was something that was so worthwhile that the police department changed, the police department did it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's just the manpower and being able to get it done and get it accomplished. There was a program out a couple years ago that we actually sent officers training for called the GREAT program. And I thought it fit better for our city. And it had to dealing with gangs, peer pressure, out on our streets and in our schools. And I thought that was more or less a program that might better fit than the DARE program would. But we were never able to get the connection with the school board to make that happen. But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I don't think we're far off from being able to make something like that happen. But having to have a full-time school resource officer at Macy's Lane, it takes away from a lot, and we do that because we know it's necessary. Because they have two deputies at the high school in Cambridge South Chester High School now. Listen.
Chief, thank you for coming. I want to ask you, are you aware of any work that's being done, for example, between the University of Maryland, let's say, and criminology and sociology that might inform the way that law enforcement is approaching crime on Delmarva and the way that we look at society and the social factors that inform crime on Delmarva and how that might assist you with your practices?
I can't say I'm really aware of anything, you know, I'm certainly aware of the crime trends and everything through the International Association Chief of Police, all the updates we get from there, the local crime information that we get, you know, and speaking to the Salisbury Police Chief, Seaford Police Chief, Laurel Police Chief, you know, we kind of deal with the same problems and the same issues and sometimes the same people. A lot of what we see is, it used to be 10, 15 years ago, our problems were the people hanging out on the street, selling drugs, doing things. Back in 2020, 2021, gang issues, we were starting to pop up in the city. We started enforcing the gun laws. We started going out and cracking down on guns, and now we're not seeing that, but we're seeing the juvenile crime rise, and we're seeing the mental health issues rise. That's where we're going to concentrate things on. And I think as if we can continue to do that, we'll be okay. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
To, key in on the question that he just asked, a lot of times if the law enforcement agencies will get together and approach groups such as Salisbury University, you tell them what you're looking for, you tell them what you need, then they themselves, if they have a population or a program that's interested in it, they love to do work out in the community. They themselves will apply for a grant. And then they will have students come into the community, but you have to get together and let the university know exactly what you need. And that's,
Okay.
you know, that's a good starting point. I went to Salisbury University and we did many programs like that in the community as far as Talbot County all the way up, you know, towards Chesapeake College. So it can be done, you know, if you get together and you find out what we need in there to build public counties. And the other, what I wanted to talk with Ms. Jones, what she was saying about the DARE program, which I honestly thought was a very good program. The high school, and I don't know who administered this program, but back in the 70s, they had a program where they selected peers from the high school. And these peers would go out in the community, talk to people their age, and they would do, because when we had a lot of teenage pregnancy, they would do a lot to prevent teenage pregnancy. They were preventing AIDS. They were preventing STDs, drugs, gang violence. They were doing a lot. Those kind of programs, I don't know whether the city, you know, Mr. Glenn, would write for those grants, but they were administered through Dorchester County, and it was county-wide. I believe the Marlboro Community Action Agency was the lead agency at that time for that program, but that program was very effective. You see teenage pregnancy go way down.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, quick question, somewhat in the same vein, but the city of Baltimore has had a huge success over the last 5 years, reducing murders by about 60%, 50-year lows, and then other violent crimes have also significantly falling. While all national trends are falling, Baltimore is really leading the pack in that. And they're having a tremendous amount of success with a combination of the police department, the DA, and community service organizations of both religious and city government-sponsored and non-religious organizations, all together specifically targeting individuals and strategizing how to help individuals. And Cambridge, we are much smaller than Baltimore, obviously. So that kind of targeted approach, like you're saying, there's like 20 youth that are challenges, right? That like wolves in the vomit. So, you know, is that a strategy, or have you had any communication with like, or looked into what's going on in Baltimore, if any of what they're doing there could be applied on a smaller scale here?
Yes, and what they do in Baltimore, of course, Baltimore's big, and Baltimore is a huge place, but a lot of what they're doing and what they've got going on, working with local task force, targeting individuals through we call it the Emson grant here. That's kind of what we did in 2022. We got a meeting together at the public safety building. We called in the FBI, we called the DEA in, and we said, look, we got a big problem and we need some help. And we came in, we had our task force there. We had a lot of big names in the room, and we said, we've got to do something. Our gun crimes, our shootings are out of control. And that's what we targeted, and that's what we did. The problem with our juvenile youth is our laws. And I don't care if you're in Baltimore or wherever you're at, until there is some kind of consequences for our children, we're going to continue to have these issues. And the parents. There comes a time where you have to look past the child and look at the home. Now, the parent may not be able to help it, but we got to find a way to help the parent. They've got to be parents. And that's where our problems are. That's our big problem. Let me get somebody, I haven't got yet. No,
So being new to and learning about Cambridge, what are you identifying as the high crime area?
high crime area is pretty much where the Greenwood Avenue area, Cedar Street area, Washington Street area. That's where we have most of our meaning most dangerous crime. Of course, crime can happen anywhere. I mean, we had a road rage incident back in June that happened out on 343 and West Side Bypass. I mean, so crime can happen anywhere, but like we do with the ShotSpotter and surveillance system, our software system, we have a map and how we patrol. And I probably should have mentioned this. I've talked about it so much, I kind of skip it in some of the talks. But we do targeted patrol enforcement. So we look at a map and we see where our highest number of crimes are occurring. So right now we have a string of break-ins, car break-ins that are going on. It's citywide, really. But we're trying to get a pattern down of where they're most occurring at right now. And we're trying to put officers out there in surveillance to be able to tackle that. But we look at a map and we see where the most crimes occurring, where the most dangerous crimes are occurring, and that's what we consider our high crime areas. All right, now I'll give you a promise.
I just have a question. My neighbor wasn't able to attend tonight, and she has some things that she lives on the corner of Somerset and Glasgow. And she's concerned because the tennis courts are right there in the school, and she sees a lot of cars, a lot of activity after dark. So she asked me to bring that up. I know she said she has some things on her Ring camera, so she should send that to you.
We definitely support that, yes. All she has to do is contact us, email us, and we'll come out, we'll download it, we'll do whatever we need to do to get the information. Yep.
She said that the police, there have been police cars that come around, but they don't stay very long. So I guess she was concerned about that.
Okay, yeah. Community policing checks and patrol checks throughout the evening. Community policing checks, officers are required, and of course, calls of service can take away from that, but officers are required to have, and supervisors are required to have their officers in certain areas. The vehicles have to be there 15 minutes every 2 hours. Now that's out every street, of course. You get out in the West End area, they're required every 2 hours. There's going to be a police officer somewhere in that neighborhood, Willow Street, on down and so forth and so on, unless there's a major incident going on. That seemed to help us a lot until we have car break-ins like we're having now. They're having them, outside in the county. So we know that they're not on foot anymore. They're in vehicles doing this. And that's just a matter of time before we catch up. But yes, just to answer your question just a little bit more, we're in areas, and I know we're in that area as much as I can, but you might not always see our car, but we're there.
It just occurred to me that the car break-ins, including keeping things out of vision and keep them in the trunk so they're not visible, because if they see nothing in the car, the less likely you break it on my off base.
I just, put a press release out that you just said you could have wrote the press release, put it out for it. I just put that press release out, earlier this evening to make sure your cars are locked, all valuables are out of sight, out of mind, and it's locked. And that's most of the car break-ins we're getting, they're just unlocked doors. People forget to unlock them or they don't hit the lock enough and they're just popping the locks. And when they get the right car, they'll steal.
I have a question about the license plate readers that you were talking about.
Sure.
You're saying you have 4 new license plate readers. Are those block cameras?
No, they are not.
So is there a policy on where that data goes?
There's a state policy. They come from the state, so I'm not sure exactly where it goes into, of course, the cloud, and that's where whatever software system we use. But I'm not sure exactly what software system that is. We haven't gotten them yet, so but once we get them in, they're going to be installed on the poles that the city has erected already for our cameras.
So I guess the reason I ask is that an issue that's happening nationwide right now, that law enforcement from certain states that have restrictive, say, women's health care policies are actually tracking cars up to states that have less restrictive policies. Law enforcement in the restrictive states are getting in touch with law enforcement in the blue states, like Maryland, and seeking cooperation and trying to grab these women who are trying to get health care in states like Maryland. Same with immigrants. So that's kind of concerning.
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead.
I know I keep bringing up things from the past, but I think it really made a difference. You know, the community policing substations had a partnership, especially in the high crime area. Any way to think about maybe reviving that and buyback program?
Gun buyback program has been a topic ever since I become the chief. We've never done it. I have mixed feelings on it. I think it can work. I think mostly we're getting guns out of grandma's attic or something. But that's just me. That's not means I won't do it. You know, that's what the community wants. The hit on the substations a little bit. We have a substation. It's on Pine Street. We've had it for many, many years. A lot of different programs are ran out of it and done. Our coordinator with the governor's office works out of there mostly. We used to have one out on Greenwood Avenue. We used to have an apartment out there, and we found we just relinquished that probably back in September and October, just because we realized our time was up out there. There was new management in, and it just wasn't being effective the way we wanted. You know, we were in the 600 block, and people were moving to the 500 block to do the crime and the other things. And so we have officers sitting in a substation there when they could be out on the street on foot down there, seeing more than what they are looking out of a window.
What is your staffing now?
Yes, we are 35 strong right now. We just got 2 in the police academy. Praying that they make it through the police academy and graduate in June. That would be a plus. We also have 6 civilian staff, which includes a civilian liaison. You'll see Mr. Montre Jenkins out on the streets doing community functions everywhere. You usually see Pat, and you'll see Montre right back there. I mean, he's all the time out and about doing a lot of good things. And we also have an evidence tech Sutton. She's been with us 4 or 5 years now, and been a great addition to us there.
So where do you need to get to? What is your authorized level?
Our authorized level is 40. I'd love to, say it was unlimited, but to be honest with you, getting the qualified applicants to want to apply and get them here is a challenge.
What is the holdback? Is it salary?
I think it's salary. I think a lot of it's the profession. I think it's a lot of what they see. to be completely honest, some people don't like busy. And Cambridge is a busy, requires a lot. It's a growing city, it's coming along. But if you can go to St. Michael's or somewhere and make about the same, or Cambridge, depends what you want. Do you want this to be your career or lifestyle, or do you want to just have a job that's in law enforcement to kind of help out when you can?
Would
And
it,
call it a day?
would a higher salary rate, I know Glenn loves this question. Would that help?
Always higher salaries. I mean, I'm never,
I mean,
never
the
gonna
county
say
last
no.
night spent a whole meeting on their 27 budget, and their primary focus is salary. And what I'm afraid of is they're gonna increase the sheriff's department, and we're gonna lose
Yeah.
in Cambridge.
I'm thankful last year, really supported by the council, and that we were able to get raises. And then the city manager, decided to do a pay study for the entire city. And I'm not gonna speak on that, that's not for me to speak on, but I think that is the most fair way to go about it. And I think the way it was done was appropriately done, and I'm thankful for that. And I think it's gonna have some positive results for all the city to help us out.
So is that salary thing done?
The salary
I'm sorry.
study, the draft is done, it's gonna be presented to the city council. Probably, we're gonna have a separate work session. This is not something that can be handled in a meeting. This is a massive document. We did comparison to all other municipal agencies and organizations, not all, but a sampling. We found 39 positions in the government in general are underpaid. So we want to make sure that we are meeting, at least address that. I know there is a proposed raise for the police department in there, and we are going to, what the police department requested that we hadn't done away with, the city had done away with during the Great Recession, is a grade and step format. So I don't want to give any more out because the council hasn't even seen this. Department heads have been kind of briefed at a very high level, but that is all going to be put into the 26-27 budget.
That's great, that's great. And
An organization, and an acronym, it's called MAG. And what we've done, just so you know, we put out an RFP, and I believe we had at least 10 companies interested in doing this study for us. And this company was highly rated by those that were part of the process of evaluating the RFPs. And it wasn't simply on money, it was on the ability to do the job.
Yes, ma'am.
To follow on the discussion about salaries, the county has the same problem. I just stopped reading the MACO report on salaries across all of the 23 counties in the state. MACO is the Maryland Association of County Governments, I guess. Maryland Association of Counties. And it's the same thing. Dorchester's usually at the bottom of the pay scales. So we have that problem in the city and the county, but we don't want to pay more taxes, so.
We are not at the bottom for police salaries. I just want
Good,
to, you know,
good,
we are in a very competitive level right now.
good.
And we'll be at a little bit more competitive level. I mean, so that was the purpose, to affirm by an outside third party to evaluate where we were as a municipality. But I'll also say, as the chief has said, there are a lot of people, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, in some municipality, I did 60 applications for 2 positions for a police officer. That's not happening anymore. Salisbury's having a problem, Houston's having a problem, Ocean City has, I believe, at least 15 vacancies. So this has become a, at least statewide problem. I'm not so sure how bad it is nationally, but we're hearing a lot of the smaller departments are having, a problem. Delaware, they're raising their salaries. They are probably raising them faster than any state that I have seen. So we are competitive. It's the interest, in today's world, when a police officer arrests someone, these are all out watching them to see what they did wrong. And that makes a challenge because no one wants to become national news or state news or local news. Not that the police do need supervision. We cannot have abusive police officers. Chief and I are very much in lockstep on this. He sees the value of CALEA because where I've been with organizations that have become certified or were certified, accusations of police improprieties drop significantly. Lawsuits drop significantly. The body cams that a police officer wears is really important because people don't realize how they're acting sometimes. And I have sat down with a person who is complaining about the police department. I've already seen the body cam, and then we watched the body cam together. And in their minds, they really did believe what they thought they saw or did. But when they see the body, when they see the camera, they go, oh, you were correct. I did do this. I did do that. So it helps because when people get excited, and I see this all the time, they just get excited. And whatever traumas they've had in life just comes out in that conversation. And then they give a very defined opinion of what happened. That's why, I always know, I always, as I tell the chief, I walk around in my life thinking I'm being recorded at all times. You are. And, we just have to be conscious of that and make sure that when we get upset, we control our anger.
Just curious, seeing the cadet here at the beginning of the meeting, is there an outreach program for the local high school?
Yes.
A vocation to kind of encourage or?
Yeah, Mr. Anthony Thomas out at the DCTC building, we have a great rapport. We bring officers in to speak on a regular. He tries to pull in as much as far as internship with the internship program that we did. And now knowing about the cadet program, we work together, career fairs and things like that we have, ride along. So if you have someone, little things like that, we try to work together to make sure that we're not missing the mark and losing somebody like Cadet Kozak. He could have very easily went to state police or somewhere else in cadet program. He lives in Cambridge. He wanted to work in Cambridge. We need more of that. We need local people that know the city.
Does CALEA maybe draw people to be in your police force?
Certainly can.
Because of respect for the education?
Certainly.
I mean, is that something you can statistically track, like police forces that are certified draw more people to come work there or engage with them? I don't know about that organization.
I'm sure CALEA would have those numbers and those statistics for sure. But I think it does, and once we get accredited, it puts a high mark on however many years it is. There's the next police chief or next administration. If we're CALEA accredited, and they come in, and 2 years later they get audited and they don't pass. Well, that shows you something. Something's not working, and that shows the community that something needs to be done.
Okay, let's have one last question.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Very, very informative. I'm concerned about those 20 juveniles who are, sort of wreaking havoc. I have a couple of friends who had some unfortunate experiences. And since there's no law to hold them responsible, is there some other creative way that, actually this is going on in other communities too. Have you heard any other creative ways, services, or some way to reach these kids and their parents to?
Creative ideas have kind of exhausted themselves until the laws change. And our delegates up there that will be going to, the assembly, they know this and they try. There are things that have to be changed in our courts. When you have kids doing crimes and they're a certain age, they're stealing cars, and we get them and have to turn them right back over to the parents, who we then see the child the very next day out on the street doing the same thing again. That's where a problem lies.
What is the law? What is the age?
Yes, yep. They cannot be charged.
What age?
Any child under the age of 12 or younger cannot be charged for a crime.
12 or 18?
12. 12 or under, they cannot be charged. Certain circumstances, crime, violence, homicide, stuff like that, of course, we can, there's certain things we can do, but 12-year-old, which we've had several times. Sergeant Jones had one child break into steal cars. I can't remember how many cars he stole, but it was several. I mean, and it happens, and that's the issue. That's the issue. Where if it's helping kids, great. If not charging kids, that's great, but it's not. It's not. And the statistics they show, they say, well, arrests are down. Well, of course they're down. We can't arrest them. I mean,
What about things like community service or,
yeah,
maybe helping them, I don't know,
yeah.
one mission or something like
Yeah, the kids that the kids that we deal with that have reached that point, unfortunately, the time to reach them is a far younger age, and trying to get them to do anything with the community, it's very tough. I know Miss Foster, who's here. I don't mean to call you out, but she is about one of the few people I've seen in our community be able to really reach some of these tough kids. And what she does to do that, I wish there was hundreds more of her out there to be able to, because it's not easy. You have to build trust for a long time, and because they've not had it their whole life, they haven't had it at home, and that's the tough part.
Someone is facilitating those children to get the vehicle, to sell the vehicle, to do all the stuff after that happens. That's the group. They're not 12.
Yeah, right.
So they're probably reasoning, and they're doing it as
Okay, we want to thank the chief. We want to thank Glenn Beckman for coming our city manager. You don't have to run out. Talk to your neighbors. This is the neighborhood association. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.